So if you guys are being bullied, you should always tell a teacher yourself. That's what I ended up doing. 5th grade, told the principal. She ended up getting suspended for a few days. So, yay for me.
What did she do?
She pushed me up against walls, tried to split me up with my best friend, stuff like that. Not fun. We can have a story time if you want. We can all share.
Yeah.
You guys want story time?
Yeah.
Okay. So does anyone have any bullying stories that they would like to share?
Alden, break the ice. Come on. There had to be a situation where you didn't tumble out.
Okay. Alright, let's go to volleyball. Volleyball, everyone on the team is usually a very popular person. They're all popular for a certain thing. One of the smartest kids, all the smart kids come out, then all the very athletic kids come out. I was the only theater person that was in the volleyball group. So I didn't really have much to connect with them, so I was very excluded and stuff. I still played and stuff, but it was hard to connect as a team because whenever they would say something as to the athletic people, I would try to joke and be yeah, but then they would kind of, you could feel it. They wouldn't straight up say, no, shut up. They wouldn't straight up say that, but you could feel it from the vibe that they don't want you there.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know what I'm saying? So there's always that time when you're with a group of people or with the sports group or the group in general, and you can feel that vibe. It's oh, why is this person here? We don't really need them, or there's no use for them. So that's how I felt throughout volleyball. But then I had to when that happens, you have to establish your place, and you have to show that you are needed, show that you are an important part of the team. So yeah.
Anyone else?
Okay, so back when I was in 5th or 6th grade, I used to play baseball, and so I was having this really good game one time, okay, and there was this pitcher, and actually I gave up a single which scored a couple of runs and got us ahead in the game, so I was feeling pretty good about myself. But after that same pitcher approached me, and I've never talked to him before, so I didn't know anything about him, but not to judge him, but for a while, when I saw him far away, he seemed like kind of a menacing, unpleasant guy. He told me that the next time we faced, he would peg me in the head, type of thing. And because not knowing him and being a 5th grader, pegging in the head is actually pretty it still is. That would be painful. I was I have to tell someone about this. So I was like, hey mom, this kid just threatened to peg me in the head. Should I be worried or something? And my mom gets super intense about stuff like that. Yeah, my mom's very protective. So she told his dad that this behavior should stop. And then the kid proceeded to just be like, hey, you talked to your mom about it, didn't you? And just be unpleasant for me. And you joke that you're going to peg me, which I don't think is funny, and then you're going to just berate me for telling someone. So in that situation, I just ignored him, to be honest. And I think that's the best course of action sometimes, just to just show that it doesn't bother you type of thing. My head's fine today, so I think it worked.
Is anyone else? Megan?
Well, I will let you guys have.
Megan.
So I don't know if you guys know this about me. When I was younger, I moved around a lot. My dad was in the Air Force. By the time I reached high school, I had already gone to 7 different schools. And if you think about the average person, they only go to 3. It's elementary, middle school, high school. So I was always the new kid in situations, especially in end of elementary, early middle school. It was a little bit of a rough time because I was trying to find out who I was. I'm constantly moving. We were moving every year. So it was almost like friends. I was always the outcast because everyone grew up with each other. So I definitely had exclusion type of situations. But eventually, after a month or so, 2 months, people got used to me and the new person in there. And they were, for the most part, really friendly. But I never quite felt like I belonged in any of the communities and that could have been my defense mechanism too, just because I didn't really be. But so it was just constant change, being a new kid. So be nice to new kids. They're really cool.
Wait, haven't you schools, if you were in high school because there's preschool.
These are technicalities.
That's the technicality.
Yeah.
Because it has an in it.
Well, even when I got to high school, I wasn't even sure if I would make it all 4 years through my high school. And at one point in my junior year, which no, my dad almost got stationed somewhere else, but he was able to convince the people. He's like, I have a person, she wants to finish her last year. Like me and my friend were planning, like I would live with her situation because it's like I don't want to move from my senior year of high school. Like, if we think about that, I would just graduate with no strangers. But hey, it turned out to be normal.
Yeah, I travel a lot too. Well, I didn't travel a lot, but my dad, like, he moved from school. To, like, I went to Holy Family my first year. I don't know if you guys know what that is. But it's Holy Family. I went there for preschool and for first grade. And then my dad got moved to Bishop Montgomery High School. So then I had to move schools. I went to St. Philomena. You guys know what that is?
You go to a lot of Christian schools.
I did. Well, I went to St. Philomena for only to second grade. And then after I went to Volteria Elementary. That's where I met Nate. And then, so you guys know Volteria. And then after Volteria, I just stuck with the public school for a little bit. And then I had, like, once I made all my, like, I never really had, like, childhood friends because of that, because of moving a lot. And then Volteria to Richardson is like basically the same thing. We just continued on to middle school. And then once I finally made some really close friends, I had to leave them all because they went to South and I went to Bishop and Nathan. That's why Nathan and I were pretty close because we went to the same elementary school, middle school, and high school. So, yeah, it's just hard, like transitioning to different schools and to like a new environment, especially from public to private. It's kind of different. So just always be open and don't be like the stone cold hard person when you're trying to enter a new environment because then no one will be your friend and you might be the person that's being bullied. So just be open to people and like be accepting.
Anyone else have any stories, or should I share mine?
What?
Ryan, you haven't shared yours.
Closest thing I was to bullied was I did cross country and track in high school, and then there's always just people that drive by and think they're super funny, yelling names at you, but you just ignore it because they're dumb. And that's it. Occasional drive by. Yeah.
So should I share my experiences now? Sure. Okay. I'm not going to use actual names because that would be bad. So, but in kindergarten, I met this girl. I'm going to call her Sally. And Sally and I, we were super close. We were best friends, and we got along really well together. I like slept over at her house like almost every other week. We were like sisters almost, and we actually looked a little bit alike. So people sometimes thought that we were related, and it was really cool, like having a sister who wasn't actually your sister, you know. And so we were super close. But on her street, there lived this other girl, and I'm going to call her Jenny. And Jenny wanted to have Sally all to herself. So Jenny was not very nice to me, and she tried to split us up. She would like spread mean rumors to try to make us not be friends anymore so she could have Sally all to herself. And that was not very fun. That went on for a few years, and eventually she ended up succeeding in 3rd grade, and I lost my best friends. Met some new friends though, so that was cool. We were friends till like 6th grade, and we split up again. But I don't spend a lot of time with the same group of people. I remember in 5th, because after I split up with Sally, I met some other people, and they were super awesome. But it was actually a very similar story where one of my friends wanted the other one without me. And so we were, see, what should I call her?
Garrett.
It's a girl. Jane.
Georgia.
Georgia will be the other one. So Jane and I, we were pretty close. But then there was this other girl, and I don't even know, we'll call her Georgia, like Daniel suggested. And I don't know how Georgia and Jane were really, I don't really know how they met. I think we just We're all in fifth grade in class together in fifth grade. But Georgia didn't like me, but Jane liked me. And so I remember one day, I remember this very clearly, I was walking at recess. I was walking next to Jane, we were right next to each other, and Georgia came over right in between us and just shoved me aside, and I hit this wall. It's like, you know, the cement brick wall. And Jane didn't like that, but Georgia was laughing, and it did not make me feel very good. And so I remember later that day, me and Jane and one of our other friends went up to the principal's office, and we told him what had happened, and Jane and my other friends were witnesses, and they explained their side of the story. And then Georgia wasn't in class for the rest of the day. She was up at the principal's office. And I remember towards the end of the class period, she came back to class, and she was really upset, and I found out that she had been suspended for
I'm so sorry,
I found out that Georgia had been suspended for, I think, 3 days. It was like a Thursday, and she couldn't come back till Monday, I think. So, wasn't allowed in school. And I felt kind of bad at first because because this girl was now getting in trouble. But then I realized that she was getting in trouble for doing bad things. So, if you guys are ever in that kind of situation, it's always best to tell someone, because then the problem stops and everything's good. And I haven't seen her since, so.
On
No. Georgia is not.
kind
We
of
went to like different.
same note, if you ever feel like an adult isn't taking care of the situation, find a new adult. If it's still happening, find someone else that you feel comfortable telling if for whatever reason it's not being resolved. Make sure you're not just putting up with it and having it pile on and build and build and build, and then all of a sudden you're in a really unhappy, kind of dark place and trying to do crazy things. All adults are we're human too. They don't always know exactly what to do in the best situations, even in the worst situations. So, if for whatever reason you still don't feel like it's being resolved, make sure you don't let it just go. Find someone that can help you.
There we go. You guys know what
Guys,
cyberbullying
listen
is?
up.
Yeah,
Being rude.
somebody like bullies you maybe on the internet or on your bed.
Exactly. I was actually cyber.
And Noah, please sit up.
Okay.
So you guys remember Jane, right? My friend who, yeah. Jane and I, we had some difficulties coming up in 6th grade. So we went to middle school and everything was great. It was just me, Jane, and that other friend that I mentioned earlier. And then once we got to middle school, we started meeting some new people. My other friend started she was friends with some other people. And Jane met, I'm thinking of names.
Oh, I know my
Mary.
friend. I know.
Mary and
Juliet.
Juliet. They met Mary and Juliet. And all 4 of us were friends for a while, Jane, Mary, Juliet, and me. But then, I think it started with Juliet. She didn't seem to like me all that much. Nah. And then she was talking to Jane about it, and to Mary, and eventually, I started getting some really mean messages from Juliet. Like, really, really mean. And Jane and I stopped being friends. They basically kicked me out of their little group, and they went to a 3-person group, and I don't really know what's going on with them now, but maybe they split up too, I don't know. But I met some other people, and we're still friends today, and our group just keeps getting bigger. We're super awesome. But I remember Juliet kept sending me all these mean messages, and then Jane started sending me these mean messages. None of us had like Facebooks or any like internet accounts. It was all texting. But then I have this one friend that I met when I was like a year old, and we're still super close. And I told her about it. And then she started sending me messages to Jane in retaliation, which was not what I had in mind. But they ended up getting into like a little death war kind of thing. It was not good. But no nuclear bombs were involved.
Oh, okay.
More like stop harassing my friends kind of stuff.
Did you ever throw trash at anyone?
No, I don't throw things.
But like, has someone ever thrown trash at you?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so.
Yeah, Daniel feels trash me all the time. So.
Daniel!
No, that's
That
Oh,
that was all Nathan. He was the one that started
Don't
it.
bring me into this.
Nathan started
Actually,
it.
speaking of like cyberbullying and bombs, you know Bishop Montgomery was like bomb threatened by a student. There was like this time when one of these people was expelled because he put a video on the internet that was inappropriate. And so it was a music video. It was like had like drugs and alcohol and like profanity and everything. So he got expelled for it. And apparently he was part of like a group and like the anonymous group. And one of the anonymous members was at school, and he's very like tech. So he went on like he sent a note, like a video to Bishop, saying like you will blow up the school. And it's like I'm sorry, it's funny because he used black magic. He's like we'll blow up the school using black magic. I'm like okay. But to be cautious, this was like during our finals. So to be cautious, remember this thing?
Yeah.
To be cautious, like they cut one of the days of our finals, so we had to take 3 finals in 1 day instead of 2 or 3 days. So yeah, he really screwed all of us over. But it was really it was sad. And the one day that we like weren't supposed to go to school, this one kid did show up, and you know James Cohady? Yeah, okay, this kid named James Cohady, he actually, speaking of James Cohady, I'm sorry, there's all these tangents. James Cohady is actually getting bullied at school. He's one of those kids. He has like what's that something burger? Something? Asperger, yeah, he has Asperger. He can't tell like social.
Oh, so he's like really sensitive.
Yeah,
I
so
met
like
a
he.
friend in Cabo.
he'll
Oh
say
yeah, I
things-
met someone at SSP like that.
His name was Carl.
We
Well,
got
anyways, like he would say things and like sometimes like he doesn't catch social cues, so sometimes like you need to go somewhere but he's trying to talk to you. You don't want to be mean and just leave. But he can't tell that you want to go because he just wants to keep talking. So he kind of gets bullied because people like will say something to him and then just leave, and then he wouldn't know why because he can't take social clues. So what happened was that he actually showed up at the school when no one was supposed to be there, and the news reporters were there, and like he was the only person that they could talk to about this thing because everyone else is off the school. So the news reporters talked to him, and he basically represented our school. Because he didn't say anything bad. He was just like, yeah, I was very confused, and I hope nothing bad happens. That's basically what he said. But it was like, out of everyone to talk about our school and this whole situation, it was him. We're just like, no. So.
Why? Would he ever say something just
You
like
never know what he's going to
why?
say. I mean, he gets bullied at school, so you can't say like, oh, these probably people are bullying. He said that in the school would be a horrible reputation, like everything. So like, we just like very worried and like what would happen. So yeah, so cyberbullying, don't cyberbully, like especially like if social medias.
Wait, so then did
Oh,
the
yeah.
guy get caught and sent the message?
Oh yeah, we caught him. It was actually. He was actually one of my friends who jailbroke my phone, or my iTouch, my first iTouch. He jailbroke it for me. Which is funny because he actually got something to shoot me. So,
Oh, wait, that kid was.
I know, right? That's ironic.
They take bomb threats in school.
Wait, who did?
They take threats super seriously.
Wait,
They
who went
take
to juvie?
any
Did
sort
that
of
work?
violence on schools
No,
in
that's
terms of
separate.
mass violence. on
Mass
schools.
destruction.
They take that extremely serious.
Funny
So
story.
it's not a joke to be joking about like, oh, do this to the school.
I have a story too. It's super serious what you guys post on the internet. Like, you have to be able to, like, everything you say on the internet, it's like the same way as saying it, and like, you can't take it back ever. Everything's forever on the
It
internet.
stays on there.
And it's like saying it to someone like in real life. So like, I have a friend who went to Stanford and he was playing volleyball there. Like, had a scholarship, had it set, and he ended up getting suspended for an entire year because he was at some party and like one guy came into the party and like was kind of being like creepy to one of his friends that was a girl, and like so he like kicked the guy out of the party, and then the guy found my friend on Facebook and was like saying like stupid stuff and like threatening the girl or whatever, and then my friend said he's like you better like stop talking, like I'm gonna beat you up, and he like said that, and the guy takes that quote to the Stanford like administration, and they suspended my friend for a year.
Yeah,
So
he was cool.
yeah, so he hasn't been going to school. He can go back next year, but you have to be careful when you post.
Positive you post that.
Also with the internet, you may not think that it lasts forever, but it does. So when you're making choices and decisions about it, you might not regret it today because you're in a young mindset. You don't think, but maybe when you're my age or Ryan's age, or you're 24, 25, you might look back and go like, what was I thinking? So just keep that in mind with the internet as well. Like it doesn't ever really go away.
Everything you put on the internet is public and permanent.
Do you think that like one day they'll like replace the internet with something like, let's just say like the outer web or something?
No one understands.
The outlet.
I have
Like, do you think like they would replace that or
I have no idea where technology is going, and we are
Yeah, it's called
blessed,
Skynet.
a blessed generation where we have it available to us, but just be careful.
How come they always say like when you delete your files, you'll never be able to get them back again if now everything you're saying is like it'll sit there forever?
Because the most advanced in tech people, they can still find it if they really wanted to. Because it's still there.
Yeah.
Like buried among like a ton of code, it's still in the ether, for lack of a better word.
It's still in the system.
It's still in the system somewhere, on a server somewhere.
The system.
Well, I don't think it's not there.
There's something I found out how to like logo like
you just like type in.
I'm not quite sure what that has to do with our discussion.
Moving on.
Hey, have you guys seen the movie How to Save a Life?
No, but like they can like hack Minecraft and do
No,
like
okay.
slash dead.
Hey, Jake. So this movie is like, it's like how these two kids were like best friends. Oh, yeah? How to Save a Life.
How does she like?
I know this is a song, but I mean, this is a movie, and like these two kids were best friends, and what happened is that when they were kids, one of the friends saved the other guy by pushing him out of the way of the car, and got hit by the car himself. So his leg was never the same. It was like gives him the whole time. So as they grew up, like living, as they grew up, the guy who was saved became more popular, and the guy who was limping just got made fun of because he would have a limp, and no one wanted to be his friend or anything. And so they were still friends, but what happened is that as the guy got more popular, he just started to forget about that guy who saved him. And what ended up happening is that guy got in really deep depression, and like very deep, and he had no one to talk to because he legitimately had no one to talk to. So.
Not even his parents.
No, his parents thought it was like just a phase, like just like one of those kind of things. So it's like, oh, it's just a phase, don't worry. Yeah, it's like, oh, you'll get through it, you'll get past it. What ends up happening is that he like, I'm not gonna spoil it. I mean, I think you guys should see it.
No,
But
spoil
I'm
it.
not gonna spoil
No.
it.
If
But
you're interested, you should
yeah,
talk
but
to your parents about watching it.
it's a really like moving movie.
So yeah, like I said, everything you put on the internet is public and permanent. What about you?
If someone ever throws like anything at you, would it be tattletaling to tell someone like if someone throws like a rock at you?
If it's a rock, always tell.
Okay, and if
Because
someone
no one should be throwing rocks.
but
It's
if
bad.
it's like a plastic bag, then
Well,
just
that could
like
suffocate you.
Daniel, you know the difference between a threatening situation and a non-threatening
no, I mean
situation.
like no,
Like
not
if you're in a fight with your sibling and they're hitting you with a pillow or a stuffed animal or whatever, then just
you laugh
That's
at
between you guys.
basically just ignore it. Because normally if you ignore it, if someone's like teasing you, like your sibling or something, they want you to respond. So it's always best to ignore it and let them because eventually they'll get bored if you're not reacting. Because they're just repeatedly hitting you with the stuffed animal. And you're not saying anything, then eventually they'll get bored and they'll go hit some other sibling or something.
Go hit your mom.
Or a different stuffed animal. So, but if you are at school or something and some kids are throwing rocks or books at you, always tell someone because that's not good.
You guys are at an age where you know what a threatening situation is versus a non-threatening situation.
If you are feeling threatened by these people throwing paperback books at you, then tell. Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
I do have one story. I'm not going to mention his name. So there was this person, and he used to be my friend, and so we were going down to the school, and he just takes so my elementary school was right down my street, so all I had to do was just walk down the street and cross the road, and I was there. So we, all three of us, me, my brother, and him, we went down to the school and we just played. And then for some reason, he just takes my brother into the garden. He starts beating him up. So like, I don't know what to do. No adults are there because the school's closed. So he's beating my brother up in like the sand pit in our garden. There's like right by where we do the archaeological dig. There's like this big dirt pit. Starts hitting him and stuff, and I don't know what to do. There is no adults for like 10-minute walk, so like I would have to run, so I didn't do that. So I just grabbed a skateboard, and he's beating my brother up, so I beat the beater up. So like I have to hit him to get my brother stopped, and then he gets all mad, and then apparently I get in trouble for it, but I don't know.
I'm not sure if you heard what I said earlier, but I did say earlier, when you're in a situation like that, it's always best not to fight back. Like, obviously you weren't being...
I wasn't here.
Yeah. Okay, so you weren't here for that part. But when it's always best not to fight back, because then everyone gets in trouble, and it's not good. The only people getting in trouble should be that friend of yours.
No, he eventually got in trouble.
Okay, good.
Like a
But
lot.
good. That's good. But you shouldn't fight back. Because that's actually a difficult situation.
Yeah, I mean, like,
'Cause
my
you
brother
said-
couldn't get away.
Did your
There was
brother
no-
have his phone anywhere near him?
No, his
Did
phone
you
was
have
at
your
home.
phone?
I didn't have a phone.
You should ask Taylor for his phone.
He didn't have a phone.
Let me
hold
that.
Hold on a second, hold on a second, give me the phone. Okay.
You could have also seen if, like, maybe if you went around the corner up to back to the street to see if anyone was around, if you could have find in a car. I don't know.
That is
That
very
is a
true.
difficult
He
situation.
was our friend.
Stop. It was a difficult situation, and at the time you did what you thought was the best way to protect your brother. And it's a hard thing, but now that you guys have your phones, next time maybe call an adult.
Call your
Yeah, I
mom
haven't
or-
spoken to him.
Okay,
That's
no,
good.
That's
That's
fine.
good.
You don't have to
That's
still be
good.
friends with that person. I'm not saying, but just in general, call an adult, find an
But
adult.
there's one problem with it.
What's the problem?
He's my neighbor.
That can be a problem.
Just
That does
jump
make
the
it
fence
awkward.
and whack you.
No.
Daniel, just, avoid them to the best of your ability. That's all you can do. There are going to be people in your life when you get older that you may not get along with, that you may not like, that you, for whatever reason, they don't like you. But, like, you're in a work situation, or you're in a school situation, or you're their next door neighbors. It's going to happen where you're going to encounter people that aren't always going to be 100% happy with you and vice versa. So just avoid them at the best possible, avoid them at all possible costs if you can. All right, any other questions for Miss Bridget? Do you have the story? Okay, we got time for one more.
In second grade, like I was just in the starting to go to, like I was in the school, like before school was starting, and there was this guy that was just, I forgot what he was saying to me, and then he just walked away, and then he just came back, picked me up, and threw me on the ground. And then my friend that's not really my friend anymore told the principal, and then the principal was asking us questions, and think she was a really bad principal because I ended up getting in trouble somehow. And the guy that threw me on the ground didn't get in trouble at all.
Really?
Like I said, adults don't always handle, they're imperfect.
We're not lucky to have a very good principal who took care of our problem, who got Georgia suspended.
But knowing that situation,
Not everyone.
you could have
He's not
maybe
even there
taken it up
anymore.
with another adult
Who?
who would
That
have
principal.
helped you.
It's a different principal now.
I have a different principal now.
It's OJ.
Yeah.
Can adults bully you?
Yes.
Yes.
But usually it's not
It's a
considered,
different form. It's not
Yeah,
like
it's not considered
Give me
quote
too much
unquote
money.
bullying. It's more along the borderline of, on technical term, it's verbal abuse.
Okay, when I was in 5th grade, this was like it was during PE at school. It's kind of like Noah's. So we were like doing softball, I guess, or t-ball since we had to use a tee. Yeah, no, but they won't let us use a regular baseball.
Technicality.
Okay, so I got whacked with a bat, and like this guy, he just came up to me and he's like swinging the bat around, and then he just hits me like right here. He chips my tooth in this area, and the PE teacher sees, and then we go up to the office, and then I'm like most of you know, I'm pretty much in trouble a lot, right? So, like I guess the principal did not believe me. She says that you provoked him to hit you with the bat, and so like I like yelled at the principal because like yes, I'm gonna have a kid with holding a bat. I'm gonna try and make him hit me with the bat. Like I'm like sassing her, and then I'm already in trouble. She just adds an extra day because I sassed her. But basically, like, why would I get in trouble if there's like he didn't even bring up me provoking him? It's just the principal took it out of the air, pulled it out of the air. Yeah,
Did he get in trouble?
he didn't get in any trouble.
To be fair, adults make mistakes. It's a natural part of being humans. In that situation, you could have found a different adult that may have been able to help you. Like possibly mom and dad might have been able to help you with that situation. This also goes to show you, and I'm not saying this might come off wrong, I'm not trying to do this, but positive behavior, putting yourself in those situations, in positive situations, you kind of set yourself up. See, I don't want to say you set yourself up for failure because it was wrong that it happened to you. But at the same time, you got to be aware of how you project yourself and present yourself in general. And I'm sorry that that did happen to you, and it must have hurt. Again, try and find a different adult that will
Wait, were you
understand
bullied?
No, I
to your
took my
stories.
tooth.
Oh, I thought it was.
So I think that concludes session A.